Hey guys, Chris at the Ultimate Recycler. This impressive stereo unit, fairly modern one, has come into the shop via ewaste. The guy was basically throwing it out, and I shudder to think what would happen if I didn't take e-waste at the shop. There is a crate for it at the transfer station, which I've mentioned often, but a lot of people used to just throw their stuff in the bin when it had a fault, and it's incredible wastage. Now, it's been dropped off here. The guy said, oh, look, it actually works, but the CD tray doesn't open or close or plays up. So I've just plugged it in to check it. And yeah, look, the tray came out on its own and then just stopped. It will go back in there. It seems to have a mind of its own. The radio is working now, and you can probably hear it. This thing has the world's biggest volume control. It's just crazy. The whole thing feels really light. It's not a super quality thing. It's typical of today's stuff. There's probably not a lot of electronics in it. It's mostly just plastic. It has got impressive disco lights that light up the speakers. I think they changed colour or something. There's a bit of a sequence there. So look, it looks impressive, and the radio certainly appears to work. So if nothing else, it's going to make a good shed radio for someone. I might only put $5 or $10 on it, but you know, it's better than it going to landfill. And to scrap it out, I would probably only get one reasonably okay little circuit board, and the rest of it plastic. The speakers might sell, but really the bulk of the thing is going to end up as rubbish. So if we can keep it in service, we'll have a quick look at fixing that CD tray, and then if it's all operational, well, it's going to get, you know, $20, $30 in the shop easily, maybe 50. It would have probably cost a few hundred to buy new. So let's see if we can save it. I'm going to take the cover off the main deck here and see what's going on with this tray. I tried to put a CD in it before and closed it, and it wouldn't play, and sometimes the motor just buzzes, so there's obviously something wrong with the sensor. It might be a really easy fix, so let's have a look. Sometimes the toughest job with these things is working out how to get into them. This one looks as though it has side panels that remove either side. I'm not sure where we go from there, so let's take one of them off and have a look. Well, I took all the screws out of either side and the back, and I've got to say this one actually ticks boxes for easy access. You can see that mostly the thing's just air, but there's a little CD drive at the top. There's the main board, control board, a power board. Oh, that's probably the main board. That'll be the controls. And the one on the back cover here is the power board. So we can lift that out of the road. Really good access to the CD player. So we'll take that out and try and work out where the sensor switch is for the drive. So I am having a little trouble working out how to get it out because the door to the tray won't come back through the housing. So I'm thinking the tray might unclip and slide out the front. So I'm going to unplug these wires and then take the main mounting screws out, which will release the top cover, and I'll have a better view then to work out how's best to get the tray out. Now let's see if that gets us anywhere. So the top panel is now free, and it looks like the front of the tray does have to unclip. So this is proving pretty fiddly. I'm going to take the top section off here, which really is just the guide for the CD. They have a small magnet in the middle here. Okay, so there's a small magnet there that clamps down, and that just sandwiches the CD and keeps it stable while the thing's running. So I got the tray to move, and it looks to me like the front cover, there we go, the front cover just comes off. So that's completely separated the disk drive unit. We can have a look at why it's playing up now. It was very awkward with that front cover in there. We'll move the rest of the machine out of the road, and we'll try and ascertain where the sensor switch is and what's going on. I'd say it's a sensor or something to that effect. Maybe a little belt drive might be playing up. I have noticed it's very oily on the front here. That was just behind the cover. So perhaps the previous owner may have sprayed some spray in there, some lube spray, thinking it would help, and it's probably made it worse. Well, I can't see anything broken, but I have noticed this little drive belt that drives the tray is very loose, and it's got quite a bit of grease actually just all around it. Grease or oil, I'm not sure what, but I'm pretty sure that that won't be driving properly. So I'll see if I'll take that one off and clean it up, and I might have a spare one to put in there. So there you can see the oily grease deposits I actually wiped off the belt and around the pulleys. I found a slightly smaller belt there which appears to drive nicely, and I had to stretch it so it's a bit stronger. I have a whole tub full of belts here. When I scrap out DVDs and cassette players and all sorts of things, I just throw a few in a tub here. I don't keep them all, but it's nice to have an assortment. Sometimes you can get yourself out of trouble. So we'll try and hook up the wiring to this and just see if the door mechanism works before we actually put it back together. So it looks like the thing's exploded, but it is all wired up. I've plugged it all back in. I've made sure everything's safe. There's no issues with powering it up like this, as long as you're aware that everything's plugged in properly and you don't touch things. You of course need to be very careful with a CD or DVD reader, because they do have a laser in there, so that's actually pointing down, so there's no issues there. So the tray is free to move. I can access the controls. Let's turn it on at the power point. And we have the power. Where's the function? Power, there we go. Right, that's powering up. And it's on the CD function. And if we push the door open button while we're watching the carriage, there we go. It didn't do that before. And if I push it again, it should close it. So that appears to be working great. It looks like the belt was just slipping. It wasn't actually a sensor problem, but perhaps, who knows how the computers work. Maybe it thought it was open when it wasn't, or because the belt was slipping. And I did hear a constant buzz at one stage, so that's possibly just that little motor spindle slipping on the oily belt. The new one seems to work great. We'll put it back together and give it a test. Now it's all going back together nicely, but I just need to point out for people that haven't done a lot of sort of repair work or anything mechanical and are having a go for the first time, just be careful when you're taking all the screws out. They usually just go in one tub. You can keep them separate or take lots of photos if you need to, but even though some of them look the same, the ones that go into plastic are more like a self-tapper with quite a coarse thread, and ones that go into metal are normally a machine thread, much finer thread. So you don't want to mix them up, because if you put the wrong one in the wrong hole, especially putting a self-tapper into the metal hole, it'll go very tight and you'll ruin the thread for the proper screw to go in. So the ones on the side here go into plastic and they use the coarse thread, and the ones on the back on the side actually go into this metal side, so they use the machine screws. So just something to be aware of if you're relatively inexperienced, and anyone seasoned at repairing stuff is going to take that for granted, but I do like to aim my videos at beginners to have a go at repairing their own stuff. And now it's time for a test. I don't imagine there's going to be any other problems. If he said that it worked fine, it was just that the CD tray was the issue. I think we've fixed that. So she powers up. Let's go to open. Beautiful. Let's put the CD in. I've just got some saxophone music here. I won't be able to play it for very long. Close the door. CD read. Let's hope it reads it. I didn't actually clean the laser lens. I probably should have done that. It looks like it's read it. It started track 1. Very good. Sounds pretty good actually. Okay, that's paused it. I think we didn't want it playing for too long, or YouTube doesn't like it. It's copyrighted music, I presume. So there we go. All fixed. That should play again. Stop. Very good. I can put that in the shop now. I don't have a remote for it. I'm not sure if it actually has one, to be honest. The guy didn't mention it. It is a Bluetooth unit. So I don't know. But I'm going to put that in the shop for $50 now, and I might have it playing during the day. So That took me, oh, it took me about an hour because I was mucking around filming. But look, with these things, the trickiest is actually just getting into where the problem is. Quite often the problem's a really simple problem. 80 to 90% of repair jobs in anything are very easy. It's only a very small percentage that are complicated and probably not worth doing. But in saying that, I think I read somewhere that 95% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope I've inspired you to have a go. It's all about, seeing if you can do it. It's very satisfying if you can fix something. It doesn't have to be an economical job. Although in this case, I've turned a $10 shed radio into a $50 unit, and I could have done it in about half an hour. So that's pretty good value. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.